Hello channel viewers, I'm DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. In this episode, we're going to discuss something controversial. We're going to talk about sex with certain MBTI types. Previously at Channel NITT, we have actually produced a video entitled Sex with an ENTJ, documenting what you should expect when you're going to have sex with an ENTJ. And that video is actually quite popular. So in this episode, I am going to extend a discussion of this topic with more MBTI types, particularly the INFP, INTJ, ENTJ, and the INFJ. Why? Because in my sphere of context, I am the closest with this group of MBTI types. So I would know these MBTI types enough to tell you secrets that most people will not know about these MBTI types. Let's start with the INFP. INFPs are very interesting because they talk about sex as a topic readily. They might sometimes just tell you or volunteer the information without you even asking for it. They might say, oh, yesterday I had sex with da. They might tell you about their personal experience, they might tell you about a particular incident, or they might tell you about the number of partners they have, or they might just compare partners. INFPs appear to enjoy this topic and they don't see it as something that is hush-hush. So many other MBTI types, when you ask them about this sensitive topic, they might be very harsh about it. They don't want to talk or discuss about it, or they give you very little information. But not with the INFPs. I think especially if an INFP knows you well enough to feel as if they can talk to you about it, then they will share a lot with you about it. Many of the INFPs that I know, they have friends with benefits, but it appears to me that they seem to have an emotional attachment with every friend with benefit, regardless of whether they have any emotional attachment to them. What do I mean by that? So INFPs can, I wouldn't say they are promiscuous, but they can have many friends with benefits. So many of the INFPs that I know of, they do have regular sex partners. Some of these regular sex partners, they may have some emotional liking for, but others, they know is strictly just an exchange or a transaction. So in a very funny way, whether they have an emotional attachment with the person or not, they are very curious to know whether the person only has her or him as the only partner. They are interested to know how many partners this person have. They are also interested to know where they stand in this partner's list, regardless of whether they really think that this partner they have any emotional attachment to. Let's move on to the INFJs. INFJs are very difficult to type in this sense because the INFJs that I know, they are so diverse. There are INFJs that proclaim to be celibate, that means they don't have sex at all. There are also INFJs that tell me that they cannot imagine themselves having intimacy with a person that they just got to know. They have to know a person well enough or deep enough before they can engage in anything that is intimate. Yet there are also INFJs that I know of that are on the brink of being promiscuous. So this is really a very mixed bunch. I would say that INFJs probably are not promiscuous. The only problem is that they may have SE as an inferior function. So in one of our previous episodes, we talked about the inferior function. When you are stressed as an individual, you might tend to engage your inferior function much more. So I foresee that many INFJs may start to engage in this kind of a behavior much more often when they are undergoing some form of a stress. It's like an outlet for them. It's like something to vent pent up emotions. But naturally, for a healthy INFJ, I think they do not really engage in sex much, or at least they do not have sex with many partners at the same time. ENTJs and INTJs, I think we can discuss them together because they are very similar. Both MBTI types like to discuss sex as if it were an educational topic. In other words, we like to discuss it as if it were something of academic value. We talk about sex as if it's like a topic in an exam. So after all, we are all humans, even though we are the rare types. So INTJs and ENTJs have a tendency to want to have friends with benefits as well. But there's a huge difference between the INTJ and the ENTJ. The INTJ would like to first explore many different partners, and then they try to see who can make them feel more comfortable, then they narrow down to that person. In this sense, the INTJ feels safer. So they start off broad and then they try to see who they are most comfortable with, and then they will filter away those that they think they are not so comfortable with and stick with those that they are feel comfortable with, if you understand what I'm talking about. The ENTJ, on the other hand, values efficiency. So if they have a partner, they want to stick with that particular partner or partners because it is sustainable. Given that the ENTJ may have a higher sex drive because SE is their child function, so it means to say that the ENTJs may need it more regularly than the INTJ. In fact, the INTJ may not see sex as a regular need. Sometimes they need it, but at other times, right, they can have months pass by and they don't even feel like they want to have one intimate interaction with another human being. So if you have an INTJ as a friend with benefit, you need to realize that maybe sex is just a matter of as and when. They could actually not meet you for a long period of time because there's no need to, or they are busy. But the ENTJ is likely to be a person who will want to meet you regularly because they want to sustain their behavior. I think INTJs are very interesting bunch of individuals because I ask questions like, do you watch porn? And the INTJ's response is, wow. One INTJ says he watches stickman porn instead. So he explains that stickman porn is just stickman having sex together, and it's in the form of stickmen, not real human beings. Another INTJ says she doesn't watch this. Another INTJ also says he seldom watches porn. So a very sensitive question that I ask this male INTJ is, so when you feel like getting off yourself, don't you rely on porn to do so? He says, I just imagine. So in that sense, sex is basically more like an abstraction for the INTJ. I would also presume that this is because SE is one of their inferior functions. On the other hand, INFPs, they might really love to watch porn because they like to explore how different tactics or techniques could be used when they are really engaging in the physical act themselves. Okay, I hope that this episode has given you some idea about the true behaviors of INFPs, INTJs, INFJs and ENTJs with the topic of sex. Of course, the observations that I am making in this video is based on the people that I know that belong to the particular MBTI type. So if you have further things that you are willing to add, do comment below in our comment section. Additionally, we produce a lot of videos such as this one. If you have enjoyed this video and want us to produce more of this type of videos, do give us a like. If you have not already subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more MBTI and fun stuff. Okay, I'm going to sign off now and I'll see you in our next episode. Bye bye.